The topic for this visit is the personalities, principal personalities from Canto 1 Srimad Bhagavatam. And the plan is, let's see if everything goes according to plan, there will be 8 classes. One of them is a double. That's Grandfather Bhishma. And some of the classes, maybe there should be a double because they're very extensive. This particular class is likely to be on the shorter side compared to the other ones. Sukadeva Goswami. But we'll begin because, as we know, Srimad Bhagavatam is the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami is the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's a little discussion. Commonly it's said that he spoke on the bank of the Ganga. Jiva Goswami has a different opinion. It's nice if acharyas have different opinions. They sometimes have different opinions. And he expresses this reason, that reason, the other reason. It was by the bank of the river Yamuna, by the bank of the Ganges, that he spoke. In any case, we visited the place where he spoke, and we'll see that at the very end. But this is his life, because first canto doesn't speak about the place so much. There is an interesting detail about the age when Sukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Commonly, we're used to hearing at least, he was 16. But there's information that indicates he was much older than 16. And here's some of that information. He was present, the events that took place long before he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam was, for example, according to Mahabharata, Shanti Parva, he was also present at the Rajasuya Yagya. The Rajasuya Yagya took place before Grandfather Bhishma departed. It was way back. He was present. Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purport from Canto 3, Chapter 31, purport to text number 20. Sukadeva Goswami remained for 16 years within the womb of his mother. He did not want to be entangled in false bodily identification. After cultivating such knowledge within the womb of his mother, he came out at the end of 16 years and immediately left home so that he might not be captured by the influence of Maya. So that was, he left the womb of his mother when he was 16 and did a bunch of other things. So two times 8. Usually it's 16, right? Varsham, 16 years old. So the contradiction is resolved in a very simple way by the simple Sanskrit word eva. So dasha, varsha, vyavasikam, eva stitaha. He, Sukadeva, was situated eva, as if 16 years. So there's one of the commentators on the Bhagavatam, Giridhalal Goswami, makes this particular point. It's resolved that he was as if 16. It's a detail, but it's a question, how old was he when he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam? Don't sit right by the entrance into the temple room. Come forward. Thank you very much. Now, the appearance of Bhaktisiddhanta also has its puzzle. So I'm going to present the puzzle to you. Here is from Bhaktisiddhanta, who was asked during an interview, a discussion with a sannyasi in Assam, published in the Gaudiya. It's an English publication. In the Puranas, we find two conclusions regarding the appearance of Shukadev. One story says that he took the form of Shuka from the Arani wood after Vyasa saw the naked Apsara, Kritachi. The other story says that he was born from the womb of the wife of Vyasa. Now I searched and searched and searched, and I couldn't find the reference. I found something that's a little different than his reference. In the Puranic Encyclopedia, a little differently, it says he heard about the possibility. Vyasa had heard details and details. Puranic descriptions get things a little mixed up. But just take what Bhaktisiddhanta said. A Apsara came, and when the Apsara came, the Apsara named Grihitachi. She was sent from the celestial realm to break the austerities and determinations of Vyasa, because Vyasa was preparing to do like that. So she came naked. I couldn't find the description, it says otherwise, but she came naked. When he saw this beautiful Apsara naked, he released semen that fell on the Arani wood. Arani wood is a certain type of wood used for fire yajnas, particularly for testing the mantras of brahmanas, because Arani is kind of like oak. It's a hardwood. And to ignite fire in wood with mantra, they put it really to test. It's not like balsa wood or kindling wood. It's Arani wood. So he released semen. It fell on the Arani wood, and from the Arani wood, there wasn't a mother. The Arani wood was the mother, and this child came from the Arani wood. And when the child grew up, that became his son. That's a version from one of the Puranic narrations. And the other Puranic narration that is more common is he appeared from the womb of his wife. And then there's 3 different versions of how that happened. And one of them is found in Kavi Karnapur's Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Kavi Karnapur is a celebrated author in the Gaudiya line, a very authoritative, excellent writer. And he writes of Radharani's pet parrot became Sukadeva Goswami. And here's how it happened. Radharani's pet parrot, Shuka, used to sit on her left hand while she would affectionately feed him the seeds from a pomegranate fruit. And she not only fed him seeds from a pomegranate fruit, but she would teach the parrot to chant Krishna's name. Bolo Krishna, Bolo Krishna. And the parrot would repeat, Bolo Krishna, Bolo Krishna. And she enjoyed hearing the parrot say Krishna's name, so it happened again and again. One day the parrot, Shuka, flew away to Nandagram. What's Nandagram? Nandagram is the home, Krishna's father's palace up on the hill. And there Krishna was with his young friends, including Madhu Mangal and others, and they were playing, as little boys would do. And when they were playing, this Radharani's parrot flew and landed on Krishna's shoulder and began saying, Krishna, Krishna. And so when Krishna heard the parrot, he became very charmed. The parrot spoke again. "Oh, I am very wretched and unfortunate. I am kritagya, ungrateful, and don't recognize the good qualities of anyone. For I have left my mistress and have come here." So he's admonishing himself for being ungrateful to how Radharani was caring for him, the parrot. Krishna at once took the parrot, who was Srimati Radharani's own, in his hand and began to fondle him. So it's a male parrot. Radharani's parrot is a male parrot. After Krishna's manifest Leela ended, this is Kavi Karnapur, by the order of Krishna, the parrot destined to manifest Srimad Bhagavatam remained in this world. Later, the parrot, Radharani's parrot, entered into the mouth of Vyasadev's wife and remained for 16 years. That's version number 1. There's version number 2. According to the acharyas that present these, it's different days of Brahma, so we don't need to get worried about contradictions. Another previous life. A parrot that was listening to everything, because he would say, "Are you paying attention?" And the parrot would say, "Yes, I'm paying attention." And then he understood it's not. After some time, repeated. It wasn't Parvati, it was the parrot. So the parrot was listening to everything. And he would just simply parrot-like repeat the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which would not do justice to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so he decided he would terminate the parrot. The parrot understood Lord Shiva was going to terminate me. And so the parrot flew away. And when the parrot flew away, the parrot flew in the direction of Vyasadev's ashram. And as he was flying, do you see on the upper right, see the green bird? As he was flying towards Vyasadev's ashram, just to get away from Lord Shiva's chasing him, he flew into the womb of Vyasadev's wife, Latika. And there he remained for 16 years until Krishna came and persuaded him to come out. That's version number 2. And there's version number 3. Different days of Brahma, right? So don't get puzzled. Different days of Brahma. This is Srila Prabhupada's purport, Canto 9, Chapter 21. Sukadeva, the son of Vyasadeva, is described in great detail in Brahma Vaivarta Purana. There it is said that Vyasadeva maintained the daughter Jabali. So Vatika was the daughter of Jabali as his wife. And that after they performed penances together for many years, he placed his seed in her womb. So this one, he did just a sukha that flew in her mouth. He impregnated her after some time. The child remained in the womb of his mother for 12 years. Different number. No. 16 becomes now 12. Different days of Brahma, it's okay. And when the father asked the son to come out, the son replied that he would not come unless he were completely liberated from the influence of Maya. Vyasadeva assured the child that he would be uninfluenced by Maya, but the child didn't believe him because his father was attached to his wife and children. How you can make this promise, you're attached, so he wouldn't come out. So what's the poor father going to do? The poor mother for 12 years. Mothers, consider 12 years. So what did he do? According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, he went all the way to Dwarka and explained that this situation to Krishna. Krishna came all the way to his ashram, to his cottage, and he assured the child directly. That's this painting that's celebrated, assuring the child in her womb that he won't be influenced by Maya. The child became convinced when Krishna spoke. So he came out. And according to this Brahma Vaivarta, it's a long description. It's a very long description. Jiva Goswami presents it in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. Whole long section, very, very long. I'm just summarizing. And he concludes, "Oh Vyas, your son speaks attractively like a parrot. He should be called Shuka." So there's 3 different days of Brahma, 3 different versions of how Vyasa was born. And then when he was born, the rest is very consistent. So one born from the Arni wood, another born from the womb of his mother. And once he's born, he was very detached from worldly life and family life and all of that. So immediately left home. But the description that we hear is when he left home, his father immediately was chasing after him. Come back, my dear son, come back. You know what it says? He didn't hear a reply. He just heard the echo of his own voice from the trees in the forest, meaning no response. And Sukadeva Goswami left. Further is described as the painting shows, he passed by a lake. And when he passed by a lake, he's completely naked. He hasn't gotten his set of clothes yet. So as he's passing by the lake, the ladies in the lake that are bathing without clothes, they didn't cover themselves because they could understand his detachment from worldly attraction. But when his father came, because he's a grahastha, they gathered up their clothes and covered their bodies. Because he's a grahastha, and he makes those kinds of distinctions. That's where you see the reference 1, 2, 2, Bhagavatam. That's very early in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he just left. He didn't return. And Vyas was in big anxiety. He's a Brahmana father, and he feels the responsibility to train his son, although he's already shown that he's detached from worldly affection. He wants to train him in Brahminical culture. And so he comes up with a very bright idea. He has some students. We'll see the list of his students later. And he sent them here and there in the forest looking for Sukadeva Goswami. And the method of looking for him was reciting verses from the Bhagavatam. And when Sukadeva Goswami heard the verses of the Bhagavatam, he who has no attraction for anything material became attracted to the verses of the Bhagavatam, meaning there's nothing material in that sound vibration. And so he wanted to hear further, and those who were speaking those verses brought him back to hear the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from his father. So as a result, Sukadeva Goswami became qualified to be able to be the speaker of the Bhagavatam because he heard it from his father, who was the compiler of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in turn, he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit and the sages, and among the sages was Sutta, who then later spoke the Bhagavatam. And that's our procedure. And by the gift of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he very, very kindly, assiduously went through the effort to provide us with the Bhaktivedanta purports from Canto 1 Srimad Bhagavatam. And it was really a wonder to receive Canto 1 Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1 Part 1, Canto 1 Part 2, Canto 1 Part 3. Very similar to how he had brought the books with him from India. And he himself, as is being shown here, he would read the Bhaktivedanta purports. When there were classes, he would have somebody read, and then he would explain what he had written. Here's the Srila Prabhupada speaking on the importance of our hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture for all the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees also, because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of the material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source, representing the Lord by disciplic succession. There's a few other quotes. Next one is from Bhaktisiddhanta, quoting on the title of the book, "No other book like the Bhagavad." That's Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if all the books of the world were to be burned, there would be no harm, provided one treatise was left, Srimad Bhagavatam. Don't sit right in the door. Thank you. Even if thousands of learning centers were to be abolished, there would be no feeling of inconvenience, provided the reading and teaching of the Srimad Bhagavatam continued, placing the Bhagavatam in a very special position. In Bhaktisiddhanta's Sri Chaitanya's teachings, he writes, "There are no other books in the world like Srimad Bhagavatam." This is not mere tittle-tattle. So that's not a common phrase. That's Bhaktisiddhanta's exquisite language. That's his English, not a translation from Bengali or Sanskrit. It's not mere tittle-tattle or an exaggerated homage. If one reflects on it in a truly impartial judge, one will realize that there has not been, nor will there ever be, a book like the Bhagavatam. And going on, Bhakti Vinod Thakur writes, in the Bhagavatam and Bhakti Vinod, from Pranava, or Om, came Gayatri. From Gayatri came the Vedas. From the Vedas came the Brahma Sutra. And from the Brahma Sutra came the Srimad Bhagavatam, which has brightly risen like a Satchitananda sun. Those who have eyes should see, those who have ears should hear, and those who have mind should meditate on the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, introduction to Krishna Samhita. It is a very nice understanding that I like very much. Sanatana Goswami. I like telling the story. But Sanatana Goswami was born in a Brahmin family and was trained as a Brahmin as a young boy. And when he was still in his study stage, he was 16, he had a dream. And in his dream, a Brahmana came and gave him a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, it's not like in a cardboard box and printed, it's and bound and color plates and just the way things were done at that time, and done on palm leaves and so forth. That's what he was given. And he woke up and he was startled. And later that morning, as the morning was going on, this very same Brahmana came to him and gave him Srimad Bhagavatam, the premonition in his dream. When he obtained the Bhagavatam, Sanatana became ecstatic and merged in the ocean of prema. And from that time, he began reading Srimad Bhagavatam daily. 16. Some of us didn't get Bhagavatam so much later in life. Some earlier than 16, but getting it at any time. And then taking it seriously. His life, Sanatana Goswami's life, was dedicated of his youth to Srimad Bhagavatam. And he wrote several commentaries, different commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. Without going into, because we're focusing on Sukadeva Goswami, who is the speaker. In our particular Srimad Bhagavatam, there's another presentation, which I'm not going to do, but there's many iterations of the Bhagavatam. And there is a particular iteration of the Bhagavatam that we have, and is described right in the Bhagavatam itself. Right in the Bhagavatam itself, it's described that Narayana spoke the Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma. He spoke transcendental knowledge, but he spoke the Bhagavatam. And there's the scriptural references. You can look it up later. In the Canto 2, Chapter 9 reference, that's part of the Chatu Shloki verses, the 4 essential verses of the Bhagavatam. After Brahma heard it from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Brahma passed it on to Narada. Canto 2, Chapter 7. Canto 2, Chapter 7 is a description of the incarnations, or avatars. That's one of the questions that was discussed between Narada Muni and Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma explains the entire Srimad Bhagavatam to Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Again later, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Narada explains it all to Vyas. And in turn, Vyas compiles the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, Vyasadeva, wrote Srimad Bhagavatam after his mature stage of samadhi, according to the instructions of Narada. In addition, Narada explained the Bhagavatam. So both. And then he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, and as we saw a moment before, he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. And these are two references where it indicates Vyasadeva was the speaker, and Sukadeva Goswami, along with other sages, were in the audience. He, as the father, wanted to train his son in the ripened fruit of all the Vedic knowledge. That's not that Sukadeva Goswami didn't know any other parts of the Vedas but Srimad Bhagavatam, but he understood the unique position of the Bhagavatam, and therefore he was perfectly capable of speaking Srimad Bhagavatam when it came time, speaking it to Maharaj Parikshit. So we'll go back to the beginning, and this nice illustration of his speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. He was already a celebrated personality, Sukadeva Goswami, and the circumstance under which the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken was Maharaj Parikshit was cursed. We'll hear about Maharaj Parikshit tomorrow evening. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die by the bite of a snake bird in 7 days. And so he knew his days were numbered. Most of us don't know. Some persons know. Some persons, at least they know. There's a nice devotee who I've known for 3 decades, and we spoke yesterday, about his wife has some particular disease, not the name of the disease, and it's an irreversible disease, and it quickly debilitates. The mind works, but the body stops working, and it's just the body will shut down. So his wife is on notice too, like Sukadeva Goswami, like Maharaj Parikshit, on notice. But his was very short notice, 7 days. And so he, the king, renounced his kingdom, turned the kingdom over, we'll hear this tomorrow, to Abhimanyu, to his son. And the he renounced his royal attire and his crown and his possessions and everything. And Janamejaya was his son's name. And he went by the side of the Ganges or the Jamuna, depending which acharya you hear from. And he invited all the sages to come and bring auspiciousness and give them instructions how to meet death in 7 days. So when they all were assembled, you see the nice BBT painting, different sages by name, very celebrated personalities. But as soon as this young boy whose physiognomy looked like, or as if 16, came on the scene, they immediately stood to honor him. They understood by his presence, his greatness, and they requested him, Sukadeva Goswami, to address Maharaj Parikshit's questions. And so then the Bhagavatam begins in that setting. And he speaks the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Basically, Maharaj Parikshit asking questions, and Sukadeva Goswami responding to the questions. And that format of questions and answers, a primary person asking, sometimes it's multiple persons asking, but commonly it's a primary person asking, just like how Mahabharata is constructed. There's details, but there's a person asking and a person responding. One of the main there are two main speakers in Mahabharata. One is Vyasadeva himself, and another is Vaishampayana. Vyasadeva spoke himself to Janamejaya. He requested Vaishampayana to speak to Janamejaya, the rest. The Mahabharata history. But the beginning part, he personally spoke. So it's common format, questions, answers. And that's the format the Bhagavatam follows. And it is appropriate, because to get good answers, you have to have good questions. If you have good questions and a proper speaker, you get good answers. So the questions raised by Maharaj Parikshit, we'll hear tomorrow, were questions that weren't just his situation, but he's the king. He's a qualified king. So he, the qualified king, is concerned about the entire population, everybody. So he's about to die, and he's asking what's good for everybody, because that's the kind of person he is. He's a qualified king. And Sukadeva Goswami gives answers. We get a sense, similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna is asking, it's for himself. But again and again and again in commentary, he's asking, Krishna's assisting him to form the right questions that's beneficial for everybody. In fact, the whole situation of Arjuna being bewildered in illusion was arranged internally by super soul within, that he would become bewildered and illusioned, and then submit to Krishna and ask appropriate questions. So he was a puppet, and Krishna was pulling the puppet strings for our benefit. Now, sometimes it's said he was asking the questions for our benefit. More realistically, he was under Krishna's Yoga Maya, or Leela Shakti. We're discussing this in the car a little bit. We're getting off topic, but it's not exactly off topic. It's just a detail of the main topic. In the topics, because the Bhagavatam, in essence, is about Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Bhagavatam, in essence. There's many topics. But those many topics have a source, and the source is Krishna. And those who are in relation to Krishna. Or those in relation to those in relation to Krishna. So that's the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sukadeva Goswami is the speaker. And according to Krishna's desire, everything happens. We'll see it the other way. If Krishna doesn't desire, nothing happens. We may desire X, Y, Z. If Krishna doesn't desire X, Y, Z, it doesn't happen. And if Krishna desires X, Y, Z, it happens. It's his Icha Shakti. And when Krishna desires, his internal, his Swarup Shakti, his spiritual potency, knows what he desires. He doesn't have to even say, hey, Swarup Shakti, can you come here a minute? I got some service for you. Sometimes he does like that explicitly. But otherwise, he doesn't need to. He just has a desire. She understands. And according to her understanding, she makes the arrangements. We commonly say that's the internal potency or Swarup Shakti or Yogamaya potency of Krishna. And then the Yogamaya potency has sub-potencies. Leela Shakti is one of those sub-potencies of the Yogamaya potency or Swarup Shakti. We could say an expansion of the Swarup Shakti. It's in the category of Swarup Shakti. And the Leela Shakti arranges Leelas. Like Maharaj Parikshit asking perfect questions and Krishna giving perfect answers, or Sukadeva Goswami giving perfect answers because he'd heard from Vyasadeva, who heard from Lord Narada, who heard from Brahma, who heard directly from Krishna. Perfect answers. Perfect questions, perfect answers. There's a BBT publication by that name. Who's asking the perfect questions? Bob Cohen or Brahmatirtha. So I invited. This. I'll get back to the topic. We'll finish in a moment. I invited Brahmatirtha to come take part, leaving Florida in January, to come to Chicago in January, from Florida to Chicago in January, to take part in a discussion on Vaishnava etiquette. The plan is, I'm just sharing, the plan is to have annually an event in the Midwest, and people from other places can come for sure, but it will be, recorded and YouTubed and all that. So just by inviting him to come, he immediately agreed. And the organizer of the event said, oh, I've always wanted to meet perfect questions, perfect answers. He asked very really, that's the book, Perfect Question, Perfect Answers, and probably gave the perfect answers, and he asked the perfect questions. And because of that spirit, he's an ecstatic devotee, doing so much service at an elderly age, so much service. Very, very significant service, very serious service. He and his team have been given by the GBC the responsibility to develop the Vedic Planetarium. How'd you like that service, Prabhus? Build a team that's going to make the plan for the Vedic Planetarium. Daunting. That's another history. Someone else was doing, and they were asked, please let this group of the other devotees, led by Brahmatirtha, to develop the plan for the Vedic Planetarium. And they're really working on it. And it's not easy because it's very complicated. So, this evening is Sukadeva Goswami. Tomorrow evening is Maharaj Parikshit, the one asking the perfect questions. The one that gives the perfect answers, Sukadeva Goswami. And then we see the scene by the side of the river Ganges. before Maharaj Krishna's departure from this world. So let's see if there's some discussion. Now, there are fewer people in the room than when we started, but I'll let you know. You can come when you like, and I'm going to start on time. You can come when you like. It's okay. Come when you like. I'm going to start on time. And our driver, Bhakti Rasa, she was right on time. There was a car accident on the way over here, so we got delayed a little bit. But barring car accidents in front of us, we'll be on time, and you come when you like. It's all recorded. The parts you missed, you can hear later. It's fine. Come on time, please. Because meetings, we're going to start on time. Let's see if there's some discussion on topic discussion, Sukadeva Goswami topic. Yes. So you speak up? There's a microphone, but you speak up. Go ahead. You have a strong voice.
Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture and all this. So I have a question regarding three Shaktis.
Regarding what?
Three Shaktis, Krishna's energies, Swarupa Shakti,
Yeah.
Shakti, and then Leela Shakti.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, Guru Maharaj, Yogamaya Shakti.
Can you use the microphone now that you have it? Thank you.
Yogamaya Shakti and Leela Shakti are the expansions of Swarupa Shakti.
Yes. Yes.
They're different.
One's an expansion of the other, the other is a Leela Shakti is a subpotency of Yogamaya. And Yogamaya is a portion of Swarup Shakti. That's the language used by our acharyas. So just like, may help you to understand. In Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, who is Yogamaya? She has a name. Purnamasi. And one of the persons who Purnamasi the go-to person for Purnamasi is Vrinda Devi. So Vrinda Devi is the manifestation of Krishna's Leela Shakti. Now sometimes Krishna just goes to Vrinda Devi and says, Vrinda Devi, just figure this out, please. I mean, it's his potency. He doesn't need to ask her to do anything. He can just do. But he gives her some service. It's pastimes. So Leela Shakti is a subset of, so they're a good team. Yogamaya or Purnamasi and Vrinda Devi, they do stuff together all the time. They have a little huddle and they make a plan, and Vrinda Devi goes off and does it. According to Yogamaya's plan, according to Purnamasi's plan. So she's a subset of Leela Shakti is a subset. This is my understanding. Now, there could be somebody else that explains it differently, and that's quite okay. This is my understanding after lengthy study. Subset and of Yogamaya is Leela Shakti. And Yogamaya is a portion or an aspect of Swarup Shakti.
Could you please also clarify, Guru Maharaj?
Could do what?
Swarupa Shakti, what is actually the Swarupa
It
Shakti?
means Swarupa, Krishna's own potency. Swarupa Shakti. Krishna's Swarupa Shakti, his own potency. Krishna's own potency.
So what does it actually do?
Don't put it so close.
Yeah, what does it actually do?
What is it actually doing? Whatever Krishna wants, that's what he's doing. It's his potency. She wants to serve him. He wants some service. She does it. Whatever it is that he wants. There's other language, such as Sankalpa Shakti. It's very similar. It's a different term because it's slightly different, means a slightly different thing, but it's essentially the same thing. Potency by which Krishna does what he does. Someone else?
Thank you so much.
Up front? Okay, right over here. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
On topic, please. So that question wasn't on topic, but
Yes, this is on topic. Thank you for sharing the different stories of the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. And in one such story, you mentioned the parrot Suka heard from Shiva, right, when he was narrating that story to Mother Parvati.
I'm listening.
And then he flew towards and went into the wombs of Vyasdev, wife.
Yes.
And so he received that Bhagavatam knowledge, complete Bhagavatam, he heard from Shiva himself.
Yes.
And then when he came out, and he was brought back again
Yes.
in front of his dad to listen to the entire set of Bhagavatam again.
The detail, what you recited is what I know. What I know. You just repeated what I know. You're asking. My understanding, which isn't explicitly stated in this narration, is there's two sources, and Skanda Purana is one of them. And it didn't say after he came out of the womb of his mother, was he again instructed in the same Srimad Bhagavatam that he heard from? That's your question. That he heard from Lord Shiva. That's your question, and it doesn't say. So the answer is I don't know, because it doesn't say. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. That's my answer. I know what I know. I know what the text says.
Thank you, Guru.
Okay. Up front.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the nice class about Sukadeva Goswami. Maharaj, I have two questions. One in continuation of Madhusudan Prabhu. So it is mentioned that Sukadeva Goswami was a Brahmavadi. In Srimad Bhagavatam, he was a Brahmavadi, but he heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva earlier. And then I was also reading on ISKCON Desire where it says when Lord Shiva approached Vyasdev, because Sukadeva Goswami went into the mouth of his wife. So Vyasdev said that since he already heard from you, he has already become a pure devotee. So he's and then I heard from some devotees that he was a devotee from heart. So how come he's portrayed as a Brahmavadi in the Srimad Bhagavatam? That's the first question.
My answer to this question is, be careful. I heard from somebody. I'm advising you. I've learned this, through a few years of devotional service. I heard from somebody, or I read it on the website. Ask, what's the reference? What's the scriptural reference for this? What's common understanding may be a misunderstanding, because it's said again and yet again and yet again. The first time, and then the second time, and the 100th time, it may be a misunderstanding. It just gets repeated again and again. So, let's just circle back. And when you read something or hear something from somebody, ask them or ask yourself, where does this come from? What's the authentic source for this? I can give an example. I'll give one. There's many examples. I'll give one example. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for a number of years, like a good number of years. And I was always under the misunderstanding that most devotees have, because that was how we got the understanding, was I heard from somebody. Now, here's a question for you. When was the Srimad Bhagavatam spoken? On the very first day of the battle, correct? Yes or no? The Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the first day of the battle. Yes or no? Yes or no?
In one sense, yes, but it was spoken to sun god.
No, but okay, aside from the sun god, spoken to Arjuna on the battlefield the first day of the battle. Correct or not correct?
Correct.
Moksha Ekadasi is not first day of the battle, correct? So we celebrate Moksha Ekadasi, calling it the advent of Bhagavad Gita, when it's not the advent of Bhagavad Gita, to celebrate the speaking of Bhagavad Gita on an auspicious day, like an Ekadasi day. But it's not when Bhagavad Gita was spoken. But I heard it, I never thought about it, I just heard it. But then I started reading more carefully. Where does this come from? And you read, I'm encouraging you, become familiar with what Scripture says, and that's the basis of knowing things. According to Mahabharata, Krishna speaks to Karna before the Bhagavad Gita, before the battle begins, and he indicates to Karna, Krishna indicates to Karna, that the battle will begin on the new moon day, the day after the new moon day, Amavas. The day after is when the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. It's when the battle began. And some number of days later, grandfather Bhishma, 10 days after the battle began, Bhishma Dev was laid down in the bed of arrows. And then, this is now according to Madhvacharya, after Bhishma Dev was laid low, that's when, according to Madhvacharya, that's when Sanjaya began speaking everything to Dhritarashtra. And that marks Gita Jayanti. It's the celebration of Sanjaya. This is Madhvacharya. Not me, it's not you, it's Madhvacharya. But the day that the Gita, on that Ekadasi day, 11 days after the battle began, which was one day after grandfather Bhishma was laid low, that's when Gita Jayanti is celebrated. And Madhvacharya, anyway, there's many other ideas out there. If Bhagavad Gita was spoken way back then, why is it became Moksha Ekadasi that is celebrated for being when it began speaking? And there's this idea, there's that idea, but predating this idea, that idea, which are more modern ideas, Madhvacharya long ago stated why it was celebrated on Moksha Ekadasi, although it was spoken before then. So back to that's a for example. I recommend to everybody in the room, I'm speaking to you, but it's for everybody in the room. I heard in a class, or I read somewhere on the internet, it's such and such. Ask the question, what's the scriptural reference? Not in a challenging, but in a verifying mood. There's some sources that they're just pristine and you just accept them. Like, for example, Kavi Karnapur. And other acharyas that are just pristine. But they when they make a statement, they give 16 scripture references to support their statement, because that's a system. The scripture is the authority, and they're explaining the scripture through commentary. I'm going overboard a little bit for a reason. There's a lot of confusion when you this site and that site and this person, that person. Be careful where you hear from and when you hear from. It's perfectly appropriate. What's a scriptural reference? Just like her question. What happened after? Oh, excuse me. Madhusudana's question. What happened after? I don't know. Because if I said X, then it's X. But the truth is, I don't know. And I know what our Acharya is saying, what Scripture says, those two things, two sources.
Very interesting about Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. The second question in Bhagavatam, it's, I think, in few verses later, it is said that in the assembly where Sukadeva Goswami was speaking, there was Narad Muni, Vyasdev as well. Is that correct? So if that's correct, I forgot. It said in one of the verses, but I wanted to ask then, those Narad Muni and Vyasdev were there in the assembly beforehand, right? So when Sukadeva Goswami came, how come there was a discussion between what is right? Because I think few verses before, it says that the sages were discussing what is right, and they were telling different things to Maharaj Parikshit, that you should do this, you should do that.
I'm not clear what the scene is clear. What your question is not clear.
So my question is, even though Vyasdev, who actually spoken Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami, and Narad Muni was also there, who heard Srimad Bhagavatam from. Okay.
Are you sure?
No.
I'm not sure either. Sages, but the names of the sages you mentioned, I don't know if those sages were present. I'd like to see the scripture reference, it says.
I'll check. So I think I read it somewhere.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. I can't comment because I'm not sure.
I'll take it and get back to you.
And it's supposing it does say that. They may, it's not like they didn't know, but they're deferring by the Shakti arrangement. They're deferring to Sukadeva Goswami so he can speak Srimad Bhagavatam. It's perfectly appropriate. Someone who's junior can be invited to be a speaker in the presence of someone senior. Here's a for example. For example, when Bhishma Dev is departing, Krishna inspired Yudhisthira not to ask questions of Krishna, but to ask questions of Bhishma Dev. And then Bhishma Dev spoke in the presence of Krishna because that's what Krishna wanted. So it's perfectly okay if senior persons defer to a younger person because they want the younger person to speak and be honored. There's multiple layers of reasons why that might be the case. So, but I don't know if it's the case that Vyasa and Narada were amongst the sages that were present, and they deferred. If they did, if they were present, it's quite okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Today we heard about different versions of appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. Is there any scriptural reference of disappearance or a verse which talks about the conclusion of Sukadeva Goswami's role in Srimad Bhagavatam?
I've not come across it. If somebody in the room is aware of such a reference or can find in the course of this visit some reference, please let me know. I've searched for it, but I couldn't find it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I don't know.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Just a clarification question. I might have missed the detail. So the sages had gathered because of the desire of Parikshit Maharaj, or Parikshit Maharaj stumbled into the assembly of sages where he got the opportunity to ask these questions.
He invited them to come. they knew, and he invited both. And the purpose was not just answer some questions, it's create auspiciousness. When someone is going to depart, many people will come to visit that person who's going to depart to offer their respects and such. But by his presence, but by his presence, have you ever been in the presence of someone who's very cultured person, a highly elevated spiritual person, just being in their presence? You feel it. You feel it. In the back, someone has their hand up? No. Okay. Over here.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
It's done now.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. I wanted to just see one slide that you had on the.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Do we know of the verses which Sukadeva Goswami heard from Vyasa's disciple?
I read it somewhere. Yes. Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
I just want to add to my question. So one of the verses I remember,
A little further away from your mouth, thanks.
one of the verses actually we have spoken is Baraha Pedam Tavaravapu Karnayo Karnikaram. I remember one verse, Maharaj, I just want to share.
So you look it up,
Okay.
and you send me the reference, not just what the verse is, but that's one of the verses that was recited. You find the reference and send it to me.
Sure.
You save me the homework.
Thank you very much.
I remember hearing from my mom, Ahobakiyam Stanakalakutam, the verse it's describing, Putana was trying to kill Krishna, but
Yeah.
he's so merciful, he gave her the position of a mother. That is also one of the verses that the disciples were reciting, and Sukadeva Goswami was like, whoa, really? He kind of like, oh.
So get your mom
Yeah, I'll get her.
to give the reference that says that's one of the verses, and then we can share it tomorrow. Okay. Yes, all the way in the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This actually to the question Guruji asked about the leaving of Sukadeva Goswami from this planet. Based on the hearing from our acharyas, there is no documented evidence of he left this planet by this time. It's just that Shanti Parva says that he traveled to different planets, including one planet, but there is no documented reference of this is the time he left.
Okay.
I just wanted to share.
Or the manner in which he left. Shanti Parva. Okay. Pass it up. There's something way up front.
Just wanted to add.
You want to add? Oh, you add is fine.
I just wanted to add the reference Madhavari Prabhu sent me. It's the one. It's the verse 9-10 in the chapter 19, the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. That there was from different parts of the universe there arrived great sages like Atri, Chavana, Sharadvan, Arishpnemi, Bhrigu, Vashishta, Parashara, Vishwamitra, Angira, Parshuram, Uthathaya, Indra, Pramada, Idmavahu, Medhatithi, Devala, Arti Sena, Bharadvaja, Gautama, Piplada, Maitreya, Aurva, Kavasha, Kumbhayoni, Dwapaina, and the great personality Narada.
Okay. Well done. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.